to KDramaVerse, the place where small moments become big stories and quiet words echo louder than headlines. Before we dive in, take a second. Yes, you right there. Drop A in the comments if you've ever been encouraged by something someone said casually, not knowing it would stay with you forever. Because today's story is exactly that kind of moment. A simple comment, a quiet exchange, and a ripple effect that fans believe helped one of Korea's biggest stars find his confidence again. This is the story fans can't stop talking about. Arden Cho's simple comment that changed everything, and how Cha Eunwoo found his confidence again. Let's go back a bit. Before the global fame, before the sold-out fan meetings, before the Face Genius title followed him everywhere, Cha Eunwoo was already living with a complicated reality. On the outside, he seemed perfect, impossibly handsome, polite, intelligent, talented. But on the inside, he has admitted more than once that confidence didn't always come naturally to him. If you've watched his interviews closely over the years, you might have noticed it too. The way he sometimes downplayed his abilities, the way he laughed shyly when praised, the way he often said he felt pressure to live up to people's expectations. Now pause here and ask yourself, have you ever been praised so much that it actually became heavy? Type yes, if that sounds familiar. For Cha Eunwoo, being constantly told he was perfect came with an invisible cost. People expected him to be flawless at everything. Acting, singing, dancing, speaking, existing. And when you're placed on a pedestal that high, every small mistake feels like a fall. Fans often forget that idols and actors hear criticism louder than compliments. And Eunwoo, by his own words, used to focus more on what he lacked than what he had. This is where Arden Cho enters the picture. Arden Cho, Korean-American actress known for her warmth, intelligence, and grounded presence, has always been admired for the way she carries herself. Confident but kind, honest, without being harsh. She's someone who speaks thoughtfully, not loudly, and sometimes those are the people whose words stay with us the longest. They work together in a space where professionalism met vulnerability. Long hours, scripts, retakes, quiet conversations between scenes. Nothing dramatic, nothing staged. Just two actors navigating their own journeys in an industry that rarely slows down. According to fans and those familiar with the interaction, the moment that changed everything wasn't a speech. It wasn't advice. It wasn't a motivational lecture. It was just a comment. Arden Cho reportedly looked at Cha Eunwoo, not as a global star, not as a visual, not as a product of hype, but simply as a fellow actor, and said something along the lines of how natural he was on screen. How he didn't need to try so hard. How his presence already carried sincerity. Think about that for a second. Not you're handsome, not you're famous, not everyone loves you, just you're enough as you are. Can you remember the last time someone saw you? Not your achievements, not your labels, but you. If that comment sounds simple, that's because it was, and that's exactly why it mattered. For someone like Cha Eunwoo, who had spent years questioning whether he deserved the praise he received, hearing genuine validation from a peer, someone outside the echo chamber of fans and media, hit differently. It wasn't performance-based. It wasn't conditional. It was honest. Fans began noticing subtle changes after that period. And no, this isn't about suddenly becoming louder or flashier. In fact, it was the opposite. Cha Eunwoo started speaking with more assurance in interviews. His answers became less apologetic. He began acknowledging his own growth instead of deflecting compliments. When asked about his acting, he no longer immediately said, "I still have a lot to learn," and stopped there. He started adding, "But I'm proud of how far I've come." That shift matters. If you followed Eunwoo's career closely, you know how often he used to emphasize his insecurities. How he felt he wasn't as naturally gifted as others. How he worried about being taken seriously beyond his looks. And yet slowly something softened in the way he carried himself. Not arrogance, confidence. The quiet kind that doesn't need to announce itself. Let's make this interactive for a moment. Do you think confidence comes from success or from being understood? Comment success or understood below. There's no wrong answer. In later projects, fans noticed something else. His gaze changed. His body language relaxed. On screen, he seemed less tense, more present. Whether it was a romantic drama or a quiet emotional scene, there was a steadiness there that hadn't always been before. And that's the thing about confidence. It doesn't always show up as boldness. Sometimes it shows up as peace. Arden Cho never claimed credit for anything. She never turned it into a story. That's another reason fans find the moment so powerful. It wasn't performative kindness. It wasn't meant for publicity. It was just one human acknowledging another. In an industry where people are often valued for what they can produce, that kind of recognition is rare. Cha Eunwoo later spoke in general terms about how words from people he respected helped him see himself differently. He mentioned how important it was when someone looked beyond his image and recognized his effort. While he didn't name names every time, fans connected the dots. They remembered the timing. They remembered the interaction. And they remembered Arden Cho's reputation for sincerity. Here's something worth thinking about. How many people around you are quietly doubting themselves while smiling on the outside? Cha Eunwoo's story resonates because it reminds us that even those we envy need reassurance. Even those who seem to have it all are still searching for validation that feels real. As his career continued to rise, the pressure didn't disappear, but his relationship with it changed. He began choosing roles more thoughtfully. He talked about wanting to challenge himself, not to prove something to others, but to grow for himself. That mindset shift is huge. Let's pause again. If you were Cha Eunwoo, what would have hurt more? Criticism from strangers or doubt from yourself? Tell us in the comments. Fans also noticed how Eunwoo started supporting others more openly. Complimenting co-stars, encouraging juniors, speaking kindly about himself and others. Confidence, when healthy, spreads. And maybe that's the most beautiful part of this story. One simple comment didn't just change how he saw himself, it may have changed how he treats the people around him. Arden Cho didn't fix Cha Eunwoo. That's important to say. Confidence isn't something someone gives you permanently, but she may have held up a mirror at a moment when he needed to see himself clearly. Sometimes growth doesn't come from struggle alone. Sometimes it comes from being seen. As fans, we often focus on big moments, award speeches, viral clips, dramatic transformations. But real change often happens quietly, between takes, in conversations, no camera records. So the next time you watch Cha Eunwoo on screen and notice that calm confidence in his eyes, remember this story. Remember that behind that moment might be a simple sentence spoken with sincerity. And now, let's turn this back to you. Have you ever said something casually that later turned out to mean everything to someone else? Or has someone ever said something small that stayed with you for years? Share your story in the comments. KDramaVerse isn't just about idols and actors. It's about the moments that connect us all. If this story touched you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the quiet moments that make the biggest impact. And as always, thank you for being part of KDramaVerse, where every word, every glance, and every heartbeat tells a story.